All right, so as we discussed at the beginning of this lecture, to develop a successful marketing strategy, an organization must take into consideration the cultural influences of the society where their new product is being introduced, right? They must research and study cultural differences. Marketers can also experience a kind of cultural shock, aptly named marketers' culture shock, when they introduce their products into other countries without doing the research. So let's explore some of those cultural differences. And we're going to look at four main categories here, and you'll see that we're starting with language. The language category. So examples of translation bloopers really abound in consumer psychology. My very favorite is this one of a product called Samarin. So Samarin is a Swedish over-the-counter remedy that you drink for upset stomachs. It's very similar to what you might know as Alka-Seltzer. Several years ago, their ads featured a comic strip with 3 frames and no text, and like you see here on your slide. So, frame 1, man with a stomachache. Frame 2, the man drinks Samarin. And stage 3, he feels great. The ad campaign was a great success in Europe, but it really flopped in Arabic countries because Arabic languages are read from right to left. All right. A few other great examples here. Hey, couple others. So Pepsi advertised in Taiwan using the slogan, "Come alive with Pepsi," which translated as Pepsi brings your ancestors back from the dead. And then my last favorite one, the Scandinavian maker of Electrolux vacuum cleaners, advertised here in the US with this very confusing slogan, "Nothing sucks like an Electrolux." So the language barrier is one problem that marketers who wish to break into foreign markets must navigate. And although not fail-proof, the best technique that marketers have to date to avoid this problem is called back translation. This is the process by which a communication is translated into another language, then translated back into the original language by a different, independent translator. Now, obviously, your translators are bilingual, but let's call the original language language A and the other language language B. Importantly, the first language of the first translator should be language A, right? But the first language of the back translator should be language B. So, 2 different translators involved, right? And it's called back translation. This process could have avoided the bloopers that we just covered. So when we talk about language, we're talking about spoken and unspoken language, which includes body language, which includes facial expressions and gestures, right? Body language is learned rather than innate. So, of course, the meaning can vary from culture to culture. One catalog retailer learned this the hard way when they printed the American OK finger sign on every single page of its first catalog for Brazilian distribution. Yikes. Unfortunately, in many parts of Latin America, including Brazil, this sign is considered an obscene gesture. Similarly, Mountain Bell Company marketed its telephone services in Saudi Arabia with a picture of an executive talking on the phone with his feet propped up on his desk. Now, in Arabic culture, the display of the soles of your shoes is considered to be a significant sign of disrespect. Oops. Okay, Paul Ekman really specializes in research on body language and facial expressions. So his research has shown that there are only 6 facial expressions that appear to be reliably displayed the same across cultures. You can see them here on your slide: happiness, surprise, fear, disgust, anger, and sadness. But this means that all of the rest are not displayed the same. Additionally, the rules for using body language can vary from culture to culture. For instance, Americans consider direct eye contact while speaking really to be a sign of trust and confidence. South Koreans, however, view this as rude and disrespectful. Also, it might be of interest to you, the French maintain that Americans smile way too much. And then we're going to end the language part here by looking at, I think, one of my favorite differences here: high and low context cultures. Now, this reflects to what extent interpretations within a culture rely on context, if they're high context cultures, for their interpretations, or, hey, if you can take them literally, more literally, in low context cultures. So in high context cultures, context is going to play a big role, right? In low context, it is not. So in a low context culture, like Swiss culture, for example, context has little or no effect. This suggests that things like Swiss speed limits, their contracts, their appointment times, everything should be taken literally. On the other hand, in a high context culture like Japan, meanings can change depending on who is speaking to whom and in what context. Now, North Americans fall closer to the low to middle range of this dimension. So kind of low middle. When an American consumer says no in negotiating, he or she is usually saying, I reject the deal, right? The Japanese, however, have at least 14 ways of saying no. And this depends on the social situation. So they might, in one situation, respond with silence, in another with a counteroffer, in another by delaying the response, something like, we'll get back to you, right? And yet in another by apologizing.